BNT is suing Surefire. And apparently Surefire has responded since the time that this has been posted. So we'll have to see if we can track that down. Actually, while I'm doing this, Richard, if you could see if you could track down Surefire's response to this. Somebody in the chat said that they put it out somewhere. So if you could find that, that'd be cool.
Doom scroll.
Yeah, just doom scroll Surefire's social media. I'm sure there's something of value on there. So why did BNT just sue Surefire? Interview with BNT CEO Carl Brugger by James Reeves. Now you should go over there, check out the video. We're only really looking at a couple sections in this just so that we can kind of get the timeline down. Essentially, BNT, they make suppressors, they make suppressor mounts. They came out with, I think, their first design in 2001. And then a couple years later, they are alleging that Surefire tried to patent the thing that they had already made. And then BNT was like, hey, we're already making this. Can you not? And they essentially had a gentleman's agreement where they wouldn't sue each other, even though they were making products at essentially the exact same time, doing the exact same thing. Fast forward to 2025, and Surefire they sent them a cease and desist or something like that, where they're like, hey, you can't make this specific product anymore because it's too close to ours and it violates our IP. And then Carl is like, but we've had this agreement since like 2004. Like we were both making like basically the exact same thing and nothing bad has happened, since then or whatnot. And we started doing it first. Again, that's their allegation, I believe, in this video. And to be clear, Carl also, BNT, they never got a patent for it, because they didn't want to go through the trouble. If you listen to the full interview, which you should, Carl seems like a very laid back, like normal dude and not wanting to go through all this legal trouble. But they filed for a declaratory judgment lawsuit against Surefire over the suppressor mount patent, which I believe is their standard quick attach that Surefire uses. Because if you've been following along the last couple of years, BNT came out with a hub adapter that accepts Surefire suppressor adapters, and then also making their own flash hiders and their own suppressors that utilize the same attachment system. Again, they're alleging that they've been making this before Surefire ever did. They just never got around to the patent part of it.
The whole story started in 2001. We developed a locking system for a suppressor, which fixed an existing A2 flash hider without any change on the gun, and you can mount it in seconds. The design was not even original from us. It was from a pipe connection from another industry, which we adapted to a suppressor. And we showed that in 2002 on an exhibition in Germany, together with Surefire and Aimpoint, and Surefire late 2002. All okay for us. And in early, I think 2004, I learned that Surefire applied for a patent. And we looked at the patent and we said, oh, fuck, that's what we designed. So I contacted Surefire at that time by fax and asked them for a letter giving us basically the free use what they have applied for. Not that they could sue HK when they import MP7 with a similar lock to the US.
So essentially there was this handshake agreement back in 2004 that has been going strong. So I think BNT is suing them, but they're suing them so that they can continue to produce and import the product. I want to say that's how it works or something like that. I'm not sure if you found the other side to that argument yet. Oh, actually, it looks like you did. Perfect.
So
excellent.
Correct me if I'm wrong. BNT is a European-based company, not United States, correct?
Swiss.
Yep.
Yes. But BNT USA is a real thing. So they have a country operating here.
So in order for BNT to sue, though, they would have had to file a U.S. patent for their device and then been able to prove damages, because you could do whatever you want, but you have to have damages in order to sue. Like, that's the thing you have to prove in the courts. So BNT is going to have to prove that they do have the patent rights to whatever design that they have, and that damages did in fact occur because of patent infringement.
Well, so what they're saying is that I'll read the transcript out. So we are very confident that based on all the facts we have, it cannot be lawful that they would get right their patent is valid. So their argument is like, you can't patent something that we were making first. That's
Yes,
BNT's argument. Well, right. That is BNT's argument. That is BNT's argument. It's like, listen, we were making it first, so you can't patent it after this is something that's already been around, right? That is their argument, to be clear.
if that was the case, the patent center wouldn't exist. By the
but
way,
he
I
says,
hope patent.
right after that, he says, "But I'm not a lawyer. I'm not the judge." It's like, well, yeah, I have no freaking clue about the judge at the end of the day. Say, "Fuck you, bugger, you're done." Which is obviously Carl's a funny guy with
Yeah.
Swiss
I don't
accent.
Accent
There's
impersonation is
filed.
top tier. Goated.
Yeah, so at one point, James asks the good question, is like, why didn't you? So what you're saying is that if you guys designed this in 2001, 2 years prior to Surefire ever filing a patent, and that you had a handshake agreement that existed for 2 decades where you said, look, we're just not going to fight about this now, and it's come to a head because they sent a cease and desist letter, and why so late? The only question to Surefire for me is why you come after so many years and stop us doing our design. But essentially, James at one point asks, like, hey, why didn't you just patent it? And Carl's like, oh, I just didn't want to go through the trouble. I didn't want to pay lawyers. I just want to make product. I didn't want to do all this stuff. It's like, oh, I like that business mentality, just like making products, moving forward, doing good stuff. But somebody at some point is going to ruin your day because you didn't file for a patent. Then they'll file for the patent and then C&D you to make you stop making the product that you allegedly made first, right? So I like I don't like getting into the legal system, but in America, you kind of have to. You got to protect yourself.
There's a lot of stuff I have that I'm waiting to show because I'm waiting on patents.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's
All right, so this is from Soldier Systems. Surefire response to B&T lawsuits. Fountain Valley, California. Surefire LLC acknowledges that B&T USA and B&T AG have issued a public statement regarding a lawsuit recently filed against our company. While we disagree with the claims made in both the lawsuit and the accompanying press release, we believe that the appropriate forum for resolving such matters is the court system. So it is going to trial. The media, not the media. Surefire stands by its long history of innovation, integrity, and commitment to our customers. We will refrain from further public comment at this time. Wow, what a comment. Wow. Okay, all right. T-Rex Arms, that comment, copy and paste. Just switch out the names for Lucas Botkin and T-Rex Arms, right? And then just put that out on a tweet and say nothing else. Okay? That's it. Which, I mean, is unfortunate, right? Because I'd like for them to say, well, actually, this XYZ is why you're wrong, and here's what we're going to do going forward. But as a real professional company, like, this is probably the statement you should say. It's like, we disagree, and we'll settle it in court, buddy. So not much of a response, but, short, sweet, to the point. But that's kind of what I expect from Surefire.
At least they're not mulling it out. Like, they're just being very straightforward. Like, hey, this is the maximum we can say. This is what we're comfortable saying. That's it. So I can appreciate that, at least. But
this is what my lawyer told me to say, because you shouldn't be making public statements if you're going to be going through a legal proceeding.
Yeah.
If it's
like, regardless, good, bad, or indifferent, don't fucking make public statements ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Shadowforge says patents favor first to make it, not first to file. But I don't know how that would work for not filing for 20 years. Yeah, that's the problem, is that Surefire did file for the patent in 2004, right? And then they had a handshake agreement not to sue them. But now it's 20 years on from that, and Surefire's like, hey, buddy, you're taking some of our market space. Can you not do that? So could you stop making your product and importing it or something like that? So it is very murky, and it is going to be settled to the tune of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in the court system. Now, I suppose a good thing about that is that Surefire definitely has money to throw around. 100% has money to throw around. And B&T, being a relatively popular firearms, their APC has a contract with the U.S. Secret Service for their APC-9, I want to say.
Correct.
Something like that. I know they have at least one contract with the U.S. military, but I also know that they're fairly popular on the civilian side of things. So at least there is some strength in the suppressor market that they're able to go to war with each other over dumb patents. Now, my big brain take on all of this is that the Surefire suppressor mounting system sucks. So I don't really care. I don't really care about the suppressor mounting system. I think they're both bad. I think there's better systems on the market from Griffin or some of these other guys that make really good rock solid lockups for suppressor mounting for, like, quote unquote duty style applications. The Surefire one is jank and has kind of been jank since its inception. It does work and it's fine, but it doesn't do anything special. So yeah,
air quotes work.
I mean,
There's-
listen, when it locks up, just shoot it off. That is not a bug. That's a feature. That's just how it's supposed to work. It's
Isn't
working
that
as
like
intended.
literally in the manual for it or something?
It is.
That is,
Yeah.
which is funny because it's like, listen, guys, we know that this gets carbon locked, but you can just shoot it off and it's not going to hurt the can. So just do that. And I mean, listen, the RC2, the new RC3, they're very heavy, but they're very durable, and they have reduced sound, or not sound signature, but flash signature is very low, at least on the RC2. And yeah, they last a long time, like 80,000 rounds or something stupid like that, and they will recore them for you. So they're expensive, but they do good work, and there's a reason they're heavy pigs, and people like them. If I can pull this up real fast, because I think people should see this, because I think this is probably one of the reasons why Surefire is now a little bit more willing to go after BNT, is because specifically they decided to come out with one of their own. It's a BNT made, but it's the Surefire adapter, right? And for the longest time, you could not get a Surefire hub adapter anywhere, like for any reason. They just would not make one where you could just buy the hub adapter to use other cans on your Surefire muzzle devices. And I still have people request Surefire muzzle devices for my custom builds that I do all the time. So I almost always have to have something in that flavor around. But when they started to come out with their own suppressors that natively attach to Surefire muzzle devices, and then come out with Surefire quote unquote hub adapters, I think that where they really start to encroach into Surefire's domain, if they're like, well, this is costing us $5 million a year in sales, or is projected to cost us $5 million over the next 10 years in lost product, well, we're just going to spend that money on a lawsuit to see if we can stop you from doing that. So, I mean, there's some sort of math game going on there with how much can we spend on a lawsuit versus how much are we going to lose in the long run.